Oh, we're only halfway. Sorry, Tony. I didn't even realize. And then when we, oh, see, this is what happens when you're caught off guard. So we're going to go back. I got to go get that chair again. Okay. And you got to press append. Okay. So current selection. Here we go. So the problem was that I had selected a block, but I hadn't changed the apply to. So we had the current selection. That filing cabinet wasn't in there. So if I go to the entire drawing, back to this. So much different when you're presenting to other people. We're going to go back to this. So you can include, and I can't remember if I needed to do the append. I just tested this out. We're going to break it together. Okay, so what happened is that these selected, but the chair is deselected. So that's where you have to understand what the different features are. So you can go and append to current selection, include them in the new selection set, and we can just start building up the elements. There we go. So now we have the chair and the filing cabinet. And I'll just do this one more time just because I want all of the furniture. And we will go to the desk. And again, append to current selection. So it means we're adding to. We're going to include it, not exclude it. And then we're going to have the elements, which it didn't select for me because I'm presenting, and that's why. I apologize. There we go. Include. And it doesn't want to select whatever. I'm not going to argue with it at the minute. So let's just pretend that it has selected the elements that I wanted. And then we can go, you can see that these have different layers. So, you know, you can use this to increase your workflow and to help clean up a lot of the issues. If somebody's like, we need to see all of the furniture items, then you can use the QSelect command to isolate them. So now that they've been highlighted and they're active, you can even go to the isolate command, or sorry, the isolate command, yep, and go isolate objects. So now those are the only ones that are visible. So QSelect is not just for finding and locating things, but it'll help other tools and other features within the software filter through the elements that you have in your model. So there really isn't a lot to the QSelect, and I didn't think I needed this much context. I apologize, Tony. But you can also use it for the text. So if I didn't have the items isolated, we can then go into the text and we can isolate the tags, the room tags and stuff like that. But it's not just for selecting items. It's for also working with the other tools to streamline their process as well. So now that all these are under the furniture command, then I could actually turn off. We're going to turn all these back on. And object isolation. And now when I turn off furniture, then all those items will turn off with it. As everybody knows how all of that works, I'm just, you know, this is standard procedures that you guys already use. It's just using the tools in a different way. So the quick select, the QSelect command is just an easy way for you to sort through your entire project and isolate specific elements that you might need that are difficult to select. Because if you tried and go and select all of the computer monitors from here, you wouldn't be able to do them. You might miss an element. There could be two overlapping because somebody placed them incorrectly, so you wouldn't know that there was two there. The QSelect command allows you to easily and quickly isolate elements and objects within your model, but then utilizing QSelect for other tools. That's where I find the power of QSelect. So I get a lot of questions like, I can't find this element, it's hidden somewhere. And I don't know an element in here that is hidden, but sometimes you can be like, okay, I see something under layer grid 08 that I just can't select. I can't find it, you know, or when you go to a purge, it won't remove because it says there's this element in your model. QSelect will allow you to go and find that element and remove it or put it on a different layer. It's just a tool to be able to quickly search through your projects. Almost like a table of contents is kind of the way that I like people to approach it. I don't know if there's any comments. I really didn't have a lot for the Q select command. I was just trying to bring awareness to it and how that you can utilize it elsewhere in a project. But if there's something specific that people might want to use, or any tidbits, tricks that they might like me to demonstrate or show, I am open to that. There are a few limitations to Q select commands, so I wanted to show one of those. So this element here, this is a block with nested blocks within it. So Q select can't select from a nested block. So I have a chair, I have a computer monitor in here, so there are limitations. But that might also bring attention to that maybe this isn't the right block, maybe it's not in the right group, whatever it is that you're missing from your project. The Q select tool will just help you easily search through your file, search through your project to isolate those objects. Let's see if there's anything else I can demonstrate quickly. It was, see, most of this stuff, just because this is a Autodesk file, is around the block system, because a lot of it is just 2D elements that are non-associative. So those ones are very difficult. So something to keep in mind when you're working on your projects. If you're going to not use walls and just use 2D lines, they're not polyline, they're not connected, QSelect's going to have a very difficult time finding things for you. So you might have to just go through your line base and your polylines and look through layers, and maybe you have one that says walls on it. This one, whatever that is, and it would help you find those elements. So I can't, what are these? What are they supposed to reference? So again, you can go back and say, okay, I want to isolate these. I want to understand what these are. Are these random objects? So it can help you clean up your process. So if I go and delete this, you can see that this is just a random line. So that might be something to help people clean up their work, find duplicated items, maybe mismatched blocks that were inserted that are not required, because here. So if we go to purge, so when you purge everything, purge the whole thing. Let's go. Then you might find some elements that are not related to, sorry, that's not what I'm trying to say. You might find elements that should have been cleared out of the project. So sometimes they're hidden, sometimes they're on locked or closed layers, and that makes it difficult for you to view them, but Q select will select in there. But if you are locked or frozen, then it's going to use those properties. So if something is locked, you're not going to be able to delete it, but you will be able to see it. And then you can be like, okay, it's locked, I'm going to unlock this, and then I can remove this element. So the main purpose of me just, bringing awareness to the Q select is think outside the box. How can you utilize it to streamline your process, to find the elements that you want to work on, working with your teams and your disciplines, cross disciplines, maybe architectural and mechanical. They have a element for mechanical that is running into a specific wall. You can isolate those two elements by the Q select command and work together as a team. So it's more than just a filtering. It's a way to work together and to identify maybe identify clashes and stuff like that. It's not going to identify your clashes. It will help you locate the elements within that clash. So I just like the Q select command because it's simple, it's clean. I can tell it exactly what I want to do. I can add and I can exclude elements from my selection type. So it's just a simple tool to use that I always find underutilized. Does anybody else use it? Is this something that people...
I actually use it. I use it to sometimes want to select hatching by pattern.
Oh, that's a good one. This one didn't
Yeah.
have any hatch patterns. I couldn't even
Yeah.
demonstrate that, but that's a good demonstration. And then when you select by hatch pattern, then you can see if there's different scales, different layers, different line types, and you can actually filter your way through those selections as well. So first select all the hatches. So like this one, I'm just going to go Q select again, and we'll go to furniture. And chair, it loves the chair. Let's turn you back on. And then you can filter down for, these are all the exact same chair, but maybe some of them were still, were not by layer, or they might have been a different color. And I want to coordinate that. I want to make sure that everything is the exact same. So Q select again just allows you to make individual property selections of elements that you select, and then allows, and then grabs them for you. So you're isolating them specifically so that you can perform other actions. What else do you use it for, Tony? I know you use it for more than that.
Sometimes text, selecting text by text height. And so if if all the text are on the same layer, I might want to isolate and select texts that are based on certain size. So I can type that value in and it'll select all those objects, and I can then change them into whatever color or layer. So
I remember,
like MText.
yeah, and that's a good example. That's where I was kind of gonna go. So originally, or so you still have text and mtext. Well, you can convert your standard text to an mtext. So I had a project where somebody had developed the entire thing with text, but we needed to upgrade it to mtext, so we had more flexibility and property controls with our text. And I actually used Q select command to select all the existing text and then convert it to the mtext. So this just allowed me to quickly select all of those elements. So again, it's just another really quick tool, even it's in the name, quick select, to isolate those elements. And it is not as robust as I would like it to be. It's not something where I can go in. So again, you have limitations. This is not the greatest tool in the world. I just really like it for workflow and processing. But if I went to block and then I went to, I'm just going to go back to this chair because I have a couple that were here. Let's change the color of one of these. If I put this onto shell, because these ones are by layer, this is how this block is selected, and employee. So this is a limitation. So keep this in mind when you're doing things that you might not be able to find everything that you're looking for, or isolate in the fashion that you are trying to grab the elements. So I come here now and we've got, come here. And why are you, hold on, we got that selected, right? Yep. Okay, Q select, current drawing. Okay, so my AutoCAD's being weird. It's supposed to say apply to current selections because I have stuff selected. So, but because we have some of these, if you went to, let's go color, because I'm like, okay, some of my chairs are different colors. Well, I can go to, I see one here that's yellow and I select it. It's because I have a setting, but it wouldn't isolate the one element because it's not set to yellow, it's set to by layer. So there is still some limitations with the system, but it has a good general use for isolating elements and other tools being able to capitalize on. But it is very limited in its application. But if you want a robust kind of filtering system, the quick select is very helpful and useful tool to use. Does anybody else have any features that they use that I'm not demonstrating? So this actually expands all object types within AutoCAD. So we're only seeing what's available in this project, as well as the properties related to those objects. So how deep and how complex Q-Select is depends on your project, depends on your usage. Even Tony, with Civil 3D, you have elements and tools that are not available in AutoCAD. So your options will be slightly different than mine. You'll be able to select slightly different things based on civil properties, based on the civil elements in your project. So AutoCAD Q-Select is very user friendly, but again, very limited. But I'm always curious of how other people use it, and make sure you understand the how to apply and the append. So if you don't want something shown, if you want to remove it, here, let's demonstrate that because that's a very unique tool. So we're going to go to entire drawing, and right now we're going to select everything, and we're going to go and select all blocks. name, select all. There we go. And then if we go back to it, we're going to go back to the block reference, but now we're going to add exclude. I'm pretty sure I have to have this multiple. Oops. There we go. Current selection. There you go. And name. And then let's remove the phone. Okay. So that just removed that phone. This phone is in there because this is a nested block, and I wanted to demonstrate that it doesn't select elements within a nested block. So this telephone is still that block. It's still the telephone block, but it's within its own block. So QSelect won't select nested elements. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, there is some limitations, but now I can be like, okay, I have most of the furniture in here. I'm just going to go one more time. Current selection, block name, and we're going to remove the computer. Here she is. And now we have just the furniture elements of this room. So it's a way to filter through your elements and make selections, but you can do it both ways. You can select the elements or you can remove the elements from your selection. So and how are you going to take that forward? So are we moving it onto a new layer? Are we converting it into a block? Are you deleting it all? Are you changing it? It's just a way to help identify those elements. And I know not a lot of people like this, but sometimes when you're working on things, it's good for the isolate command for hiding, because now maybe I want to hide only the furniture because I just want to see the buildings. I just want to see the walls. That allows me to hide them quicker because they're not on the same layer. That I can't just turn off the furniture layer and they all disappear. And this way I'm not turning off everything because maybe there's something under furniture I want to keep on. I just want to hide those other elements. So that's what it allows you to do. Instead of turning off the whole layer, all of the elements associated to it, you just pick certain things and control their visibility or their settings or their properties or something or anything like that. So yeah. I'm sorry, Tony. Mine was
Good stuff. So, yeah.
mine was very general.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff. I was just trying to think while you were doing that, other things I use Quick Select for. And Sid online, he says he also uses it for pressure networks and pipe networks. And I think there was more other things. Let's see here. Q Select.
Sorry, my chat was actually on a different screen, so I didn't see everybody's coming up.
So yeah, in Civil 3D, yeah, we have a huge list that pops up from pipe networks to alignments and profiles, and yeah, and we're able to filter through those objects. So I can select those pipe networks, like Sid mentioned, based on description names or display names. And also, I think there was another one I was using it for. I think survey Kogo points. So on bigger Kogo points, let me go open a drawing. I think that was another one. Yeah, if I remember right. Let's see. Here's my survey drawing.
And while you're doing that, I'm just demonstrating. Let's go undo all of my isolation. Okay. So don't mind me. I'm actually going to make a mess of my own drawing to demonstrate how it's going. Okay. Don't include.
Yeah, so yeah, if you're a Civil 3D user, yeah, I'll use Quick Select to select Kogo points by description name or raw description name, full or raw. And that's another way I can, sometimes I'll select those objects and then move it, maybe put it in the wrong layer. I can go to the description key set, but if I'm trying to do something quick and fast, I'll do that. Go to Quick Select, select Kogo point, select by description name, and then make my edit. So maybe put it to a different point group.
Yeah, that's and again, things I don't get to utilize because we might be using AutoCAD, but you're using the civil tools and I don't have access to those. So it's a very robust tool in its application, but again, very simple. in, you know, the actions that you can perform to it. So this is one I'm just taking all of those furniture elements that we talked about and demonstrating how you can run into where you would need to isolate the chair. So if I only wanted to turn off the chair, it's under furniture. The only way to get rid of it is to turn off that layer. So that is another use for the Q select, where you can go in, select the reference, name, chair. Nope. Why didn't you do as you were supposed to do? Block reference. Yes. Name, chair. Oh, why? Oh. Okay. Way to go, computer. It's being weird today. So let's pretend that we saw that, select the things out of us. Now, because again, they were all on furniture, I can't isolate just the chairs by layer because they're on the same furniture layer. This is where I can now hide those elements. So I can start removing things. Just take a step back. What do you need to perform? What's in your way? Or what do you need to see, and just, you know, remove the noise around you. That's how I like to look at the Q select command tool. I use it to help myself throughout my file and making sure I'm only seeing or not seeing what I want at specific times. So
Yep.
I am doing a crash course with myself with the Q select command, because I know there's a lot of things that I'm missing. That's why I like to ask people, what do you use it for? Because we might not use it for the same process. But understanding that you can use it and then take advantage of it with other tools, with other commands, is really the point that I'm trying to get across here.
Yeah, Meredith said that she used it to track down a line that was plotting that was invisible. With a quick
Yes.
select, yeah.
Yeah, and you can't always find them. You're trying to purge. You're like, where's this coming from? And that's such a powerful application. Thanks for bringing that up, Meredith. That you can be able to isolate those elements that you can't see otherwise, or maybe it's showing up with a hatch pattern, but the settings on your screen aren't showing the not the hatch pattern, sorry, the line types, and you're not seeing what you want to see. You can use it to clarify and locate those items. So, Meredith, I can only feel your pain. I know how that feels, not being able to find something and then finding that it's invisible. So Q select kind of works around that, because it doesn't care about the controls or the settings. You are still restricted by those actions if you're trying to perform something with that element, but Q select will still find it and it will still identify it for you. So it's not like I can just go and select an item and then purge it. No, I identify it. I can review, okay, this was locked, that's why it didn't purge, or it's nested within another element, so it can't purge it because something else is still there. You know, there's a lot of depth to our models that, you know, we all feel pain with, but Q select is there to help you streamline selecting your elements and picking specific needs. But then taking it that step farther, where I was selecting multiple elements and adding or subtracting from the selections that I was making. It's not a one and done. Realize that you can make one selection and then add to it. And then maybe you needed to remove something. So that's where you can remove that item. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Great stuff. Let me ask you this. Do you ever use quick properties?
Not as much as I probably should.
Yeah, that is something I teach a lot to all my students when I go travel, is quick properties. I pretty much eliminated the property dialog box. I can't stand it. It's always a lag. I never have it on, ever.
Okay.
There's some things I have to turn it on, but 95% of the time it works for everything in the quick properties. So I customize my quick properties to only display the things I change. And if I'm going to change like a polyline or a hatch, it's going to be a hatch pattern, a layer, a color. If it's going to be a line, it's going to be a polyline. It's going to be the layer. If I need to know the area, the length, pretty much the things you change. I don't need to see all that junk that you see in the properties dialog box, and it disappears when I'm done when I select it. So, and I have it located always in the same location. So I use it daily. I pretty never have the properties dialog box open that much, very rarely. So I'm using the quick properties all the time. So I'm kind of curious for those online, how many of you use the quick properties tool?
Yeah, I'd be
Uh,
interested because my properties is just
yeah,
always
raise your hand if you
open.
do. Yeah,
Yeah, multiple screens, right? So you just put
yeah,
your properties over on another section, but I can see the value in the correct properties because it's only
yeah.
the essential.
Oh, no, is I don't
A
know. One more
thousand times
chance.
a day.
Anybody? Did anybody use it? I'm looking online. See
I
anybody use quick
just see
properties?
Edward. Yeah.
One person. Oh wow, there y'all definitely missing out. Definitely
Yeah.
missing out. Because you can customize it even for your Civil 3D objects to only display certain things. So when I'm in clicking on a surface, I can change the style on the fly instantly, and I
Ooh.
only see two or three items. I don't see a huge box from the properties dialog box. So
So, so you
I'm not using my space. I'm not one of those users that have my second screen filled up with like every single dialog box. I'm complete opposite. I eliminate all dialog boxes for purely for performance. So, because
because
the
they
more
do, they
dialog
do
boxes you have open, the more resources you're using. So
because
every
they're
time you click on
technically
some,
active. Yeah.
yeah, it's technically active, and
But
you're
I
using
wasn't
more.
aware, and
Mhm.
maybe I misunderstood you. You can customize the properties you see for each type of object in the.
Yes, yes,
Wow, that's a
every
game
single
changer.
object, and I'll show you real quick. I know.
Yeah, no, I didn't understand. I
Uh,
didn't realize it was that.
yeah. So let me share my screen here. Okay, share advance. Okay, okay. Okay. I just figured out how to do the audio thing for Frank's
Yay.
video. So I got to get his in here. So, okay. Can I see my screen?
Um, no, it just says you have started. There we go. Okay, we can see it.
Okay. So the quick properties, if you want to turn it on, and we got quick properties right here. And it looks like a little calculator notepad here at the
Yep.
bottom of your screen, right? And so now when I click on a hatch, you get this, a small condensed down version, things I typically change. And once I change it, I can come in here and change that option on the fly, of course. And when you're done, it disappears.
Yep.
So if I want to change those options, I come up to the CUI, and it saves it for all drawings, not just that specific drawing. It's for your whole Civil 3D.
Right, because you're changing
Yeah,
your.
CUI. Yeah. So, and I'm always customizing. I'm always tweaking my little quick properties. Um, I'm surprised it's taking forever here. Okay, there we go. That took forever. So everything you see here is AutoCAD, most of it. And
Yep.
so you have some Civil 3D. So like 2D polyline, you just check what you want to see. Well, typically 2D polyline, I typically change color, layer, sometimes line type, and then I want to know the elevation, area, and length, and if
Hmm.
it's a line generation, and I'll apply it. You don't touch anything on the left, and I can go to Hatch. I can save this, go to Hatch, MTEX. What do you change in MTEX? Point clouds, splines, circles, get them all customized. Okay. And then when I do click on something, it will only display those objects that you see. I don't know why it's kind of acting this way. Now you do have to turn on, as a default only shows like 5 rows.
Yeah.
You do have to go to the options and allow more multiple rows. So let me go in there.
And this is actually the reason why I haven't
Yeah,
utilized
I'll
the
probably
quick
put it in there.
properties as much as I would have
Add 10
preferred
rows. Oh,
because
and
I
I'm just
wasn't aware
constantly
that you could.
making changes. Yeah. So sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
it's just crazy. 25 years using AutoCAD and I'm sitting here learning something new about. quick properties, but that's the purpose of the tips and tricks day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. I'm learning things from everybody, from yourself and everybody else on the team, learning, tips and tricks. Well, uh,
Yeah.
same. Anything, anybody, I guess I did ask, how many people were using quick trips, quick properties, but I've actually converted a lot of my students, they start playing around and customize it now, because there's not a lag. I'm on Zoom right now, and Zoom always affects AutoCAD. I don't know if anybody else noticed, but
Doesn't select my
it's
items.
a quick, change, and then you're out. You hit escape and it's gone.
Yes,
So
that's what I do like about
yeah,
it, but I wasn't aware that I could change the properties to that extent.
yep, yep,
So,
yep. And even for those that use Civil 3D, if I go to Civil 3D, I can change items in Civil 3D on the fly. So even my profile views, besides going to full profile view properties, I'm just changing things on the fly, uh, instantly. Surface styles, pipes. If I go to my plan view, you can change things in here, like the style of a pipe instantly. It's changing on the fly and then it's gone. So
and I love the difference in your properties. That one only had 4 options where your other one had like
yeah,
10,
each one's going to be
each
different.
item. Mhm.
Yeah, based on like alignment. If I don't change the alignment, like this one even, just has four, because those are the four things I typically change, is the style, name, or description, or the layer. Uh, but yeah, on the fly. So definitely check out quick properties and stuff. So
Mhm.
um,
But then that's another tool that you can utilize quick select
mhm,
with the quick properties. You isolate the elements, and then when you bring up the properties for them, you only have the ones that you desire to,
yeah,
the ones that you generally use.
yeah,
So yeah, that's what I like about quick select. It is a support tool
mhm,
for other items, for
yeah,
other
yeah. And another thing, I guess what version of Autodesk products is everybody on right now? I'm kind of curious, to see, for everybody that's online, what version of Civil 3D or AutoCAD or Revit are you on right now? 23, 22. Okay. Learn something new. Yep. 22. I see some 22s there.
Yep.
22, 23s. Okay. 24s. Okay. It looks like pretty even a mix of 22, 23, 24. Anybody
Yeah.
using older than 20,
Oh,
20,
poor Michael.
22 light? Okay. But at least he's using 24. But okay, I guess no one's older. Okay, that's a good thing.
Yeah. And is
2020, is
there a
that
drastic
2020 on project 2020? Is that a 2020 version? Yes. Oh, wow. There we go.
my?
There's an older one. Yeah. So I provide tech support all the time. So I get different versions when people call me in, but looks like it's a very even 22, 23, and 24 that I'm seeing. I see one 2020, 2020. Anybody else? Yeah. What do you have? How many people online? 29. Okay. Um, funny story is the old, I actually had somebody call me at one time and they were using AutoCAD 2009. And of course, they can't get tech support from Autodesk. So Autodesk told them to upgrade. So he called me up for support and he's like, look, I want you to turn my AutoCAD into AutoCAD 2009, the 2023 version. So he basically wanted to turn off the ribbon and put all the classic toolbars back.
Uh,
So he didn't want to learn any of the new products, any of the new features and tools. He just, hey, make it look like, run like my old AutoCAD 2009. So
oh my
yeah,
gosh. And the
yeah.
workflow changes from
Oh yeah.
2009 to
Yes,
whatever.
yes, yes,
Wow.
yes. Yeah, yeah. I mean, 2009 is pre-ribbon, you know. So, the client worked on multi-million-dollar custom homes, huge for celebrities and stuff. And he had a system. He did it in AutoCAD. He had a system. He wouldn't to him. It wasn't broken. So, but hey, my job was come in here and just make it work like he wanted it. So, make the client happy. So, but yeah. Our next presenter, let me see if he's going to be available. It was Todd. And I don't know if he's online. Todd, are you online? Let me check here. He was going to do a InfraWorks to Twin Motion tips and tricks. Let me see if he's going to be available. Like I said, we had a few scheduling conflicts. We had to shuffle some classes around. Um, and we apologize for that. Things come up, emergencies, scheduling conflicts. So we had a few speakers who were not able to actually attend. So I had to shuffle some of the classes around. So let me make sure that he's going to be available. He is scheduled for 12:30. Um, and sometimes people, have emergencies. So uh,
Did you want to try and show Frank's video now?
yes, so if he doesn't log in the next few minutes, we're gonna go back to Frank's tips and tricks. I know he's gonna have some good ones. Now, I think I figured out the audio issue. But how's everybody like this presentation? I guess, this all-day presentation. I don't think anyone's ever done something like this, an all-day tips and tricks on various products. Autodesk, was really surprised when I brought this up with them. So, and I want to thank all of the Autodesk speakers today. We actually have a few more Autodesk speakers stepping in later. But yeah, we had like 130 people register for the event, and I know they're coming and going throughout the day. So we had a lot more this morning, but everybody's registering in different time zones too, just to let you know. So, but yeah, I hope everybody's enjoying it. Some of them are probably great tips for power users, CAD managers, and BIM managers. Some of them are more for beginners, so it's going to vary in range. So yeah. Thanks, Sid. Yep, Meredith. Yep. Yep. Any questions of what y'all seen so far? We may be able to invite some of those speakers back if want to see another one like this. Let me know, and we'll try to put another one together. Um, yep. And most of our speakers are all expert elite speakers, some Autodesk speakers, and some of them are industry experts, but they're not part of the, not, heavily involved with Autodesk. But there are, they're power users or CAD managers. So, yeah. Yeah, I learned some cool stuff today also, especially on the Revit side. So I don't use Revit, but even infra drainage, since I'm more trying to use hydraulic tools. So great stuff, and AutoCAD stuff. So pressure networks. Okay, we'll try to come back and create a whole class on pressure networks and stuff. So yeah, yeah. Let me see here. I'll wait another 2 more minutes. And if Todd is not able to attend, job comes first, everybody. Your work comes first. We will move on to Frank. I'll get Frank's tips and tricks video going. So we have what, 20, we have some Q&A. We have some questions here. Sid, W Block has yes, USA for every option under insert. Will this work? Yeah, that should work. I haven't tried that, Sid. W block objects out like that in the way you want to do it. Yeah. Where can I find the recording? I'm gonna try to post a recording. Of course, Zoom's longest recording time is 6 hours, so I'm gonna have to break this up and upload it to our YouTube channel under Civil CAD Learning Solutions. There's a channel and there's a section for DFW BIM Infrastructure User Group. So that's the DFW BIUG. That's what it stands for. DFW BIM Infrastructure User Group, our online group. And most of these presenters you see online are part of our user group online. Rob has his own user group, but he's actually member of my user group also. So we're online every day so definitely check it out if you are interested in joining our user group. Here, I'll post a link for those are online. We have roughly around 330 members. Let me see if I can post a link. It's free to join. And we have a lot of tips and tricks. You'll find Christina on there sharing awesome tips and tricks all the time. So let me get on there, post a link for you. Okay, I'm going to put it on the chat. So if you want to come join our group, you can actually find a lot of our expert elites in there sharing tips and tricks, videos, blog posts. We're doing webinars every month. We actually do trivia. We give away prizes. We do software trivia like AutoCAD, Revit, InfraWorks, Civil 3D, trivia. And then we do Tech Talk Tuesdays once a month. So yeah, it's just a fun little platform. It's kind of like Facebook, but it's private, invite only, and yeah, we don't. I try to monitor who's on the group so we don't get any bots or junk being posted. So a lot of good stuff, content. You can watch all the videos we recorded. So okay, well let's go ahead and see if we can get. I don't see Todd. I mean, I guess he was not available. So let's see if I can get the video going from Frank. So to do his tips. So let me pull it up.
Well, hi everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Frank Mayfield. If you're seeing this recorded version, it's because I did not feel that I was up to doing a live version for you today. I've been suffering from a cold. My voice is wrecked. I go into coughing fits and sneezing fits and wheezing fits and all kinds of fits, and I didn't feel that I could do that for you. So I'm doing my best to get this pre-recorded for you. So I am a design technology consultant. I work out of the Tulsa, Oklahoma area. I am a former CAD manager. Spent about half my career that way, maybe 20 years worth. I'm an SME, according to AutoCAD people, which is nice. I am an Autodesk Expert Elite. I am the Vice President of the Augie Board of Directors. And I am the author of the Tuesday Tips with Frank AutoCAD blog. All right. So I've known Tony for quite a long time. In fact, I presented at his very first DFW BI. Well, I can't remember the letters, Tony. Sorry. His very first event, which didn't go so well for me. I flew down there, got diverted by a storm, and ended up sitting on the tarmac in Abilene for most of the morning. It was a pretty bad experience. So hopefully this is going better. It's just the fact that I'm not feeling too well. So with this Tuesday Tips blog thing, let's get back to that a little bit. Sometimes writing those it becomes a bit frustrating for me because it says it's a tips blog, right? And oftentimes I end up talking about a feature and doing a deep dive into that feature and how to use it, which is, like I said, a little frustrating. It's just kind of the nature of working for the team that I work for. They kind of call the shots sometimes. So today I want to make sure that I show you what I consider tips and tricks. And so as always, depending on your level of experience, you may or may not know some of these. I hope that a lot of you, since this is like, hey, I'm going to come learn things, you're fairly new to the industry, a little less experienced than some of the others that might already know some of these things. If not, bear with me. So to get ready for this, I was like, okay, I'm going to go out and gather a whole bunch of tips. I have some booklets that I wrote for Autodesk. I have my blog. We did an AU session back in 2018 and used a particular file for that, which is what I'm going to use today. And I'll be repeating some of those and some other things. So hopefully you'll get something good out of this. So with that, let's pop over to AutoCAD and let's get started. So I have a grandson who's turned 16 now, and of course you know what that means. He's learning to drive, and a couple of the first rules that you learn when learning to drive is you keep your eyes on the road and you keep your hands on the wheel. And that's kind of my first tip today. It's my experience and my firm belief that the most efficient AutoCAD users keep their eyes on the drawing editor and they keep their hands on the mouse and the keyboard. You want to look away as little as possible because every time you look at the menu or back to the drawing, you're reaccessing where you were and you're wasting time and thinking about things that you don't need to be worried about. So for our purpose for this little discussion here, we're going to assume that we're all right-handed. I know that's not the case. Sorry, lefties. If you're one of those, please translate and you know what to do. So aliases for AutoCAD commands from the keyboard are always a lot faster than reaching up and finding them in the menu system somewhere. And to make them even faster, you can set up your aliases to be for a right-hander, on your left-hand side of your keyboard so that your hand is not having to move across the keyboard. You don't have to look down to find the P, right? Or miss it, which is even worse. And so how you do that is, up here in the Express Tools, there's a command called, the menu item says Command Alias. Okay, so we're going to click that. And as an example, I'm going to show you what I do. All your commands are in here, all the aliases. Okay. What I like to use for match prop, because I use it all the time, but it's hard to find in the menu, or I have to change tabs or something. Okay, so I'm going to go to match prop and just start typing it in. There we go. And it's mapped to MA. Well, like I said, M is over on the right side of the keyboard and A isn't. I use my own secret code sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to change that, just edit it, and I'm going to change that to QQ, which isn't mapped to anything. It's a private command for me. I know what it is. Nobody else is using my system but me. So I'm going to say OK. And say OK. Say, do you want to, I have confirm changes set on, which I'm not a fan of these. We're going to talk about one of those here in a little bit. And I'll say, yes, let's do that. And it changes the AutoCAD PGP file. And now I have a command that I access all the time in a convenient place at QQ with my hand on the keyboard. Another thing that can help you with your efficiency is using the right-click contextual pop-up menu system. I'm going to show you a few of my favorites. So let's consider, as I zoom in here, that we want to draw a line from the exact midpoint between that point and go out that way. Okay. Yes, there are various ways to do this. In the past, I might use some sort of construction line. Right, and I come in here and say go, say line, say yep, let's go out this way. Hey, by the way, I don't have ortho set, but if I want it to be ortho, I'm going to hit the shift key and it'll make it ortho. There's another quick tip right within a tip. Okay, so we're good to go, and I'll erase that and boom, we got it. Okay, there's actually a better way, and this actually came to us through a wish list item. Okay, so I'm going to start the line command again. I'm going to say shift right click, and you probably know about this, but and that gets you the O snaps. Okay, in the O snaps, there's a mid between 2 points, and I just pick my 2 points. It calculates it for me, and I get my line. Okay, so that's a good one. Again, they're all over the place. I'm going to zip over to the general drafting tab. And sometimes we get drawings in from elsewhere, right? We don't know exactly what their standards are or how they're made. So here I have this line type. It's like, I have no idea anything about this other than it looks red and it has circles in it. Don't spend time querying this line type to find out all the pieces about it so you can recreate it. It's very easy now. Select it, right click again, and you want to say add selected. And AutoCAD will decide, oh, I know how to do this. So just make it, draw another one, return, ready to go. Okay, so add selected is in there also. Let's go back real quick, look at one more example over here in DSize. Let's get rid of you, keep this the way it's supposed to look. I'm going to grab one of those. Oh, and actually I'm going to grab a wall, sorry. And right click, and I want to say, I want to get everything that's like that. So I'm going to say select similar, another great tool. And you can use these things in conjunction with other tools. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and right click again after that. I have them all selected. And I'm going to say isolate and hide those things. That's what I wanted to do. There are some options to select similar. Just type it in and say settings. And you get this dialog that says, hey, I want to select these things based on these criteria. Right now it's layer and name. Okay. So I could do that sort of thing. Don't forget about your right-click contextual menus. At this point, I would normally go, okay, I want to put this drawing back the way it was, and I would do undos. And possibly you would be using this the undo up here, or just typing in U, and it goes back to where you want it. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm going to continue on to show you something else. It's kind of, again, another tip within a tip. I'm going to type in the word undo. It's actually a full-blown command in AutoCAD. And again, it has options, so I'm going to arrow down. And we're going to look at the bottom two. This is this tip. Mark and back. What do those mean? Okay, so Using the full-blown undo command, you can set a mark, a flag in the drawing file that says, if I do a full undo, don't go past the mark. Okay, it's going. Where would this come in handy? Say you're making design options, and you're like, okay, my current state of the drawing doesn't really match that, but I might be going, okay, I'm good to go with this part, but I want to test some other things. I might not like them. I might want to get right back to where I'm at. Sometimes you might go, okay, well, I'll do a save as and copy a file that's like this. And that creates, file management problems at the end of it because you might end up with 3. So you can use a mark, which I believe I just did. I'm losing myself. I'm going to say go. I just click it and it goes, okay, I've set a mark. Good to go. So now I can continue with whatever design I need. I'm going to just do some things to change the drawing. Okay. I'm going to get rid of those. I'm going to get the green stuff. All right. And I'm going to do select similar again. Same with the green circles. Select similar. I'm going to delete those. I'm going to 86. No, I'm not going to 86 him. I'm going to come out to paper space. I'm going to delete you. Okay, so I've really screwed things up. And I get to the eye, I was like, man, that was a stupid way to do things. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to undo. Okay, so I'm going to say U for undo. And I'm going to keep going. And as soon as I get to the mark, notice what it says there. Mark encountered. See that? So now I know, okay, I'm back to where I needed to be. I can continue. If I say undo, if I can type, I say undo B for back. See what that says? This will undo everything, okay? Yes. Sweet. So that's the other part of this. I can set marks and go to certain places for my undos, or I can just not set a mark if I want. If you ever wanted to revert a drawing to how it was when you opened it because you've screwed it up so bad, you can use that. It's like a revert. Undo, back, and yes. Will get you right back to where you were. So you don't have to close it, right, and say, no, don't save, reopen it. You don't have to go to all that trouble. Undo, B for back, yes, because that's what you want to do, and you're off and running. All right, so back to the concept of the right-click menu. I mentioned I was a CAD manager at a oil and gas firm, so we had a lot of pipers. I call them crusty old pipers. They were seasoned veterans, let's say, and so their AutoCAD skills also went back many years. And a lot of them like to use right-click as enter. Okay, and so what would happen is, you're a CAD manager, you get a call, Frank, come over here, and so you go to look at things, and you're like, oh, well, you need to use add selected, and you go to show it to them, and you right click and it's an enter, and they were like, no, I can't get rid of that, I have to do it. There's a way you can use the best of both worlds to do that. Let me show you to that right now. If you go to right click options, hit the user preferences tab and say right click customization. Right at the top, there's a thing called the time-sensitive right-click. And it says you can do a quick click, so it's just a click to get enter. Or if you hold it down for, and I'll turn this on, a duration of a quarter of a second, a whole quarter of a second can change your workflow. You'll get the right-click menu at that point. So I'll say apply and close. Say OK. All right, so I'm going to come in here and just draw, I don't know, a polyline. And I'm going to go click, and I'm just using speed clicks, just a normal click right now, okay? Right click right there to end it. Okay. Try that again. Another polyline. Come out. I'm going to hold the click this time, and I get the right click menu. So with that, now I can change it to an arc. I can do any of these things that you would normally do. Change the width with a polyline. All I did was hold that right click down for a quarter of a second to change my entire workflow and make myself more efficient. Okay, so I'll zoom out here, And you can see that this layout tab has two viewports within it. There's this, here we go, this large one, and then there's this smaller one embedded within it. Now granted, embedding viewports is bad practice, but let's face it, sometimes these things happen. And what happens when you find an embedded viewport like this, you can't select it to be activated. Okay, I'm clicking within it, I just double clicked, and it activated the main large viewport. Okay, let's go back to paper space from outside. I can select the edges of viewports, even the embedded one, but I cannot make it active in order to do anything within it. How do you fix that? How do you get to that thing? The key is having a viewport that you can activate, in this case the large one. So I'll activate that viewport. Now it's a simple keyboard shortcut. Control R. I'll do that. And notice I have now activated the smaller embedded viewport with the Control R. What it does is cycle through all the viewports, whether they're within each other or not. It doesn't care. So I could have 6 of them and it would just start going through them until you get to the one that you want. It's really just that simple. I'll go ahead and type in PS to get back to paper space. So next I'm going to zoom into this string of dimensions up here. And I'm going to go ahead and double click again to activate model space because the dimensions are actually in model space. And we look at this and we go, oh, okay, it's like a bunch of 3-foot dimensions, looks good to me. Nothing jumps out at you. You have no reason to believe that anything is wrong with these dimensions, right? There's no little warning signs or anything anywhere. But in fact, some of them have been overridden, right? You can do that in AutoCAD. You can type in whatever you want to the text portion of the dimension. And there's no way to know. So you need a way to be able to find them and then fix them if you need to. And that's where this next tool comes in. It's an express tool again. So you find it in their menu. It's called Reset Text over here in the Dimension panel. If you hover over it, you see it says, oh, I'm Dim Reassoc is my name. I'm going to come down and type it in. Okay. Notice there is also a Dim Reassociate. Totally different. Don't confuse the two. You want Dim Reassoc for this. So I'm just going to say enter. And it says select objects. Okay. Here's the cool thing about Dim Reassoc. It filters out anything that's not a dimension. So you don't have to go and carefully pick things. I always just say, give me all. I type in all. And it's going to filter out those lines and anything else that's not a dimension. And when I do that, notice some of these have highlighted. Okay? Some didn't. That one didn't. That one didn't. The highlighted ones are the ones that have been overridden. We want to fix those. And it's a very quick and simple process. I will go ahead and hit enter on my keyboard. And those dimensions go back to what they should be. Really handy. It's called Dim Reassoc. Let's zip down here into a little white space real quick to show you this next one. So I'm going to draw a line. L for line, comes out here, I got a line. And I'm sure you've used this next command. It's called pedit. It's the way to turn a line into a polyline. So let's do that. Pedit. Okay, take it, select it, go grab it. Oops, grab it. Do you want to turn it into one? Yes, that's why I was doing this. That's exactly what I want to do. So I have to say yes. And then I get my options and I can do things. In this case, I enter and I've turned it into a polyline. That prompt irritates me to death. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't want to turn that into a polyline. There's a fix for that. There's a system variable that will suppress that prompt. It's called pedit accept. P-E-D-I-T, pedit accept. There it is. It's set to 0. You want to set it to 1. It's a registry saved variable, so once I set it in one place, it will stay that way in every drawing. Okay, now I can do this process again. Pedit, grab, and I do not get that prompt. A step saver for sure. Delete, and let's zoom extents again. So we have just a little bit left here. Try to get a couple more in, maybe just this one. because this one can be a really big time saver. I've kind of done the math on it sometimes, and literally saving up to half an hour in a week doing this. That CAD manager job I had, we said I had a bunch of pipers, and we had a huge folder structure involved with each project. And these guys would start at the top level and click all the way down through to get to their files. And there's a better way, and I want to show you what that is right now. So I'm going to go to the open command, pull it up here. I'm going to come up, and I've kind of made a bit of a fake folder structure just to go through here. So I might have a client, might have various projects in there, or year-based, who knows, whatever yours is. And we keep clicking through, right? So you're clicking through all these things, trying to get to, here's a bunch of different cities and so. I don't know. And finally you get to a folder that where all your files are. Quite often it's called CAD or something like that. Okay, and within it is, there's my old drawing from AU 2018. Okay, stop doing that. Over here on the left side, and I wish every program had what I'm about to show you. I love this. This is called the Places panel. By default, you have these 5. Once I'm in CAD, I can come over here to Tools, expand that, and say Add my current folder to Places. There it is. There's CAD right there. So now I can go from wherever I am and just click on CAD, and I have my folder. And so I would go over and tell them that, and they go, wow, that's so much better. I don't have to do all that clicking to go, no, you don't. Here. And so I'd go back off to my desk, and I'd be happy. And then a few hours later, it's in the afternoon after lunch, and they call me up and say, Frank, I did what you said, and now I have about 8 different CAD things over here, and I don't know which one is which. Okay, my bad. Never assume that they're going to figure it out on their own, right? So I trudge back over. I say, okay, here's what you do. Right click on that guy and access its properties. Once again, there's a theme today, right? Right clicking. Properties. This will tell you which one it is. In this case, I know that it was the Burbank. Okay, so I'll say Burbank job. Bada bing. And I'll say okay. And I'll do each one of them that way. And now I have created a custom shortcut to these jobs from the open dialog itself in AutoCAD. Awesome. Hey, when you're done, keep things clean, right? Kindergarten rules. When you're finished playing with it, put it up. When we're done with the Burbank job, we never go there anymore. It's been archived. Right click and remove. Say and we're good to go. That's the man, that's such a time saver. And once you know about it, you're going to love it. We'll cancel out of here. And again, and if you don't actually open anything, you're going to get a prompt from AutoCAD saying, hey, you've made some changes to Places. Do you want to say, yeah, save what I did. Thank you. Appreciate it, AutoCAD. It's nice of you. All right, let's pop over to this other layout tab and look at these parallel lines. And you may know, some of you may know this one already, you may not. The fillet command, if you try to use it on 2 parallel lines, you would think, oh, that's kind of like a divide by 0, you know, something might blow up. I don't want to do that. But that's not true. So I'm going to say fillet, and no matter what the radius is set to, if I pick 2 parallel lines, it's going to create a arc between them on the endpoints of the first selected line. Oh, you just said a lot, Frank. Well, I did. I'm going to exit out of this because you can see the preview. We're going to do it again. This time I'll use this one. That's my first line. And notice it will shorten the longer line to create that. Again, fillet. I'm using the long one and the second one now, and it will make a fillet, an arc, I should say, between the 2 parallel lines. What a quick way to make a slot. I could now use that pedit command, turn it into a polyline, and do all kinds of things with it from there. Make some concentric circles and constrain them and do all kinds of things. Quick way to use the fillet command to make a slot. Okay, let's go back over to desize real quick. And this is just some quick advice if you ever present. Okay, so if you ever get, you're like, oh, I have to project up onto the screen and I have a class full of people and you're nervous anyway, there's a few things that can make your life easier and their life easier also. First of all, move your command line and dock it up top. It's easier for the users to see, the students, if you will. Put that up top. If you have a data set, don't have visuals for this, but I only had one drawing I was playing with here today, but you might have 10 or 12. Use a sheet set manager as a tool to set up your data set. Name them per what it is or what lesson it is. It's a quick and easy way to go back and forth between your drawings and your data set. Also, if you need to use different tools for different items, what I like to do is set up various workspaces and color code each one, right? So I can come in and say, oops, I still have that set up to, to enter. I can go into options and say display colors, and I can set up my command line, for instance, to be green for one set of tools, blue for another, red for another. It gives me a visual cue to let me know that I am indeed using the right tools for that job that I'm doing right now with, and in conjunction with the sheet set manager and your set of data. You can do that. And if you do some of these things and you end up getting your AutoCAD environment really wacky, right? I've got the command line up there. I've got things where they're not supposed to be. I just want to get it back to normal. Get me back to default, please. There is a way to do that. Now, I can't do it with AutoCAD running right now, but without it running, if you go to the Windows Start menu, go to your AutoCAD item, there is a Reset Settings to Default. Click that. It will prompt you whether you want to save a backup copy or not. That's up to you. And then when you say OK, the next time you start AutoCAD, it will be back into its default state. Hey, that's about all the time I got right now. Glad I made it through this. It was not terribly easy for me. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
All right, I will jump on next then. I'll go ahead and do my little short. I think I'm up next. Let me go look at the okay, so I was scheduled at 1 o'clock. It's 1:40, but I'll go ahead and start. Just note, let me share my screen here, what our schedule looks like. Sorry, my little toolbar keeps floating around. So this is our schedule you're going to see on the screen here. I'm going to go ahead and start my 1 o'clock. I'm going to do some very simple, basic InfraWorks tips and tricks. We'll have a 30-minute gap. I'll stay online if y'all have some Q&A. And then we have Newman that's going to come in at 2 o'clock for Revit. And then we have Danya. If you haven't heard Danya, she's going to come in and do some Revit tips. And then Chris Fugit with Civil 3D. Charlie from Autodesk will do grading optimization, optimizer tool. Chris Fugit will also come back and do it in the Civil 3D. Rena, another great Revit specialist. We got 3 great Revit specialists coming in. That's falling behind David doing Revit also. Christina will follow behind with another AutoCAD Cloud tips and tricks. Fugit will do another one, Chris Fugit. And if I have time at the very end, I will try to do a vehicle tracking. We also have, actually at 1:30, I'm sorry, 1:30, we have a form, I think we have a format, Forma. Let's see, make sure that's right. Yes, at 1:30, we have Forma. If you've never used Forma, Autodesk Forma, we have Evan that will come in and do a presentation on Autodesk Forma. So thanks for staying online. Be sure to invite your coworkers. But I'll go ahead and jump on and do an InfraWorks class. I will try to figure out how to get the audio to working for Frank's video. But let me go ahead and start with InfraWorks. Let me stop sharing here. And And of course, somebody's out there mowing their yard right when it's my turn. So I'm actually working remotely. So, all right, let me go and get my model ready. And how many of you online are, raise your hand if you are using InfraWorks for preliminary design, grabbing GIS data. We got 2 people. Anybody else using InfraWorks? We got 2 people. Okay. I've used it. Okay. So it's a great little tool. Let me go to share my screen here. All right, and I'm using a virtual machine for this one since I didn't have enough space to install it on my laptop, since I have all the Civil 3Ds and other software installed. So yeah. So let me know if you can see the screen. Good. Oh, let me move all these there. I keep having to shift these dialog boxes over around. Kind of miss having my 3 monitors. I only have 2 here. So, but can y'all see my screen? Just want to let me know on the chat if you can see it. Okay. All right. So InfraWorks is really a great preliminary design tool, which allows me to bring in data from AutoCAD or Civil 3D and create a nice 3D model, more of a generic 3D model. It's nothing like Twinmotion or Lumion. Those are high rendering models, or was it Udemy or Unreal? Unity or Unreal. And I can create conceptual 3D models and create great for presentations if you're doing some presentations for city council, city zoning meetings, even engineering design meetings or neighborhood meetings. So typically I do that a lot for developers. I'll create 3D models for them, within a day, or even less. And I'll grab all the data they have and create a 3D model. Now, in here, I'm going to show you some very simple tips how to bring in landscaping. So sometimes I have to bring in trees I'm going to save, or maybe I'll grab all the little circles represent different landscaping trees from the landscape architect. And I'm going to show you a very simple way to do that. The first step is bringing in existing trees. So I went to the model builder, and this will allow me to download, GIS data aerials from anywhere in the United States, almost the world. Okay, so I'm in Dallas area. I'm going to zoom in to one of my project sites that I'm working on right now. Small little project site. Let's see here. I can turn on the aerial map here. And let's zoom into. Okay, here's my site. Nice little 2-acre development here. And I can pick the checkbox where I want to download the area, give it a name, description, and a coordinate system. So I'm in Texas, Dallas area. So in Dallas, everything is North Central Foot, TX83, correct? Right? So I'll hit OK. And once I hit OK, it's going to go download that model. You'll close this. You'll wait about a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes, depends on the size of your project. If your project is maybe a square miles, because it can do a large city. Like here is a model of Charlotte. It did the whole city of Charlotte for anything that's public, that's free, that you can download from roads, from was it street maps, open street maps, through some of the 3D models of the buildings, terrain surfaces, and some storm utilities that's out there public. You can download, and it goes and grabs and creates this 3D model. So this is what I did here. I have this one right here already created. And let me open this file. And it does create a great job handling large files. So I can bring in Revit models, SketchUp models, 3D models from FBX and OBJ, shape files, XML files. It can handle almost all GIS data. It's really a really great tool to bring in GIS stuff. So I'm going to open that model. And this is what it came up. And it uses a generic building. It's not the actual house. It's trying to match the building footprint. And our site that I'm looking at here is heavily forest right here in this location. You can see these are a road, but not the actual road that's out there. It found the center line on the roads, and just if the data online that was free uh, gives it attribute data like the 24-foot wide lane curves, if it has sidewalks, it will try to match it as close as possible. If it's not, it's just going to create something random like this here. But anyway, let's talk about bringing in some trees. And all right, so typically I have to go into Civil 3D and do a map export as a SDF or shapefile, but I use it to SDF, sorry, file format. So I will select the trees based on the specimen of the trees or type of tree it is, like if it's oak or elm or something, and I'll export them out individually as a group. Okay, and that's what I've done already, is I exported that XDF file already. And in here, I can create a coverage area that represents grass in this location. But right now, I'm just going to bring in the existing trees that I'm saving. I do have a lot of trees on site. I think on this project, it was over 300 something trees. And then when I did the conceptual site plan, there was down to like 27 trees. So there's a lot of tree mitigation, but I just want to bring the trees that are being saved. So I'm going to go into my data sources panel right here. And then under here, and of course, in the CAD file, the Civil 3D file, I had a coordinate system assigned. That way it knows to put it in the right coordinate system. Okay. I already done that step just to save time. So, come on here. Make sure we're still recording. Okay. I'm going to go into my pull down here for the top.js file and select SDF. I'm going to go to my downloads folder and go look for, let's see, I think it was, where did I put it? Oh, existing trees. There's my SDF file. Okay. I'll hit open. Oh, okay. Maybe I didn't. Let's try this again. Hopefully I did not. Oh, it's this one. There we go. I picked the wrong one. And I need to configure it because Civil 3D, I mean, InfraWorks can do vector data or raster data. So this is more of a vector data. So I got to configure that data. So I'll double click here to configure that data. And I'm going to select under the pull down under type trees. And then come at the bottom and select the type of tree I wanted to select under style. So I have all these options of tree styles. Now, I wish they would just give it the actual real names, not just T03402. I wish something they would actually go and name it like oak tree, sycamore tree, and stuff like that, hedge, all these other ones down here. But I'll just select one of these trees here. Okay. I'll go to geolocation to make sure that, look, it's pointing in the right location based on the coordinate system. The source needs to be draped on the existing terrain because there is an existing terrain in the site model that you see. So I'm going to select drape in the pull down. That way places it on the terrain itself and say convert polylines to polygons. Okay. And hit close and refresh. It's now going to place those in the model. And you can't see it, but I'm going to go ahead and zoom in and you'll see the trees in here. I'll zoom in and there are the trees on the existing ground conditions. Okay, they're all the same height right now, but I can change them. There was no attribute in the circle. So if I had some like maybe a shape file that had attributes about the tree height and the diameter, then I can run a query in here. You can run queries to say, hey, if the attribute tree diameter says this, use this tree height. For right now, I can manually change the tree height for each one or multiple. I can just hold down the button and change the tree height on here. And I'll do this for every specimen tree. I will come back, add another one, down here, I'll import another one as an SDF, and this could be your oak tree, and pick a different type of tree here. Now, if you did want to change them, let's say, hey, maybe this needs to be a different type of tree, I can come back in here, just double click and change them all at one time through the edit style. That's one way. So I'll go ahead and change it to something like this and refresh. And you can see now you have a more realistic looking tree. That's probably more what we have out in our field on this development area. Or now when you start designing, you can do the same thing. You can create a circle of proposed trees you're planting on the development and export it as a SDF, or you can just sketch it out. You can come in here and say, create environment. Let's see here. Where are you? Standing trees, and pick the tree I want to pick. So I can come in here, tree. Maybe I want to do one of these trees here. Spruce tree, snow, and I can just click and it puts the tree in there automatically for me. And if you ever want to change it, you can change it on the fly. If I go into my stack, more styles, it's more of a drag and drop. So actually I'll just go, you can go through here, but sometimes I'll go to the styles palette. So if I go to manage, display, content styles palette. I'll go into the 3D models, vegetation, and here's my trees. Then it becomes just really a drag and drop to change the trees to see which one matches more what you want, which is a really nice tool to have. As you can see, and then you got more of these adaptive trees. If I go into adaptive trees, let's go in here, put it in there. A little more detailed trees. Let's go back. They've added a few more things in here. Optimize. There we go. So different types of trees. Yes, you can bring in your own trees that you may have modeled in another 3D modeling software, and you can just hit add and bring that in as a let's see, file format here. Oops, sorry. I keep creating new folders here. Not new folders. That's for folders, sorry. At the bottom. And over here, model URL, I can pick where I want to bring in a tree through here. And let's see, I do have other options. There we go. So your options down at the bottom is a SDS, DAE, or DX, where's DFX, FBX, OBJ, SF, and SFF. Those are all the different file formats for 3D models you want to bring in. So when I was creating my model here, I just exported all these existing trees I was saving as a SDF. You can do it as I don't think I've ever tried as a shapefile. Most of the time it's an SDF file format that I'm actually importing in. Okay. So trees, landscape features, bushes, buildings. So if you're doing a bunch of buildings, you can do a generic one and override it with a Revit model. So if I want to bring in a Revit model, I have an option here. It's glitchy. Where are you? Revit model, IMX model, or the actual 3D model, and that's going to be your other file formats you can bring in. Okay. It does save time. That way you don't have to click and manually select or fudge where you're putting trees. Being able to just export those trees out, like in here, I could have brought them all in at one time and create another proposal and say, hey, this is existing conditions, and then create another proposal, create concept one, and remove the trees out of there to show existing and proposed. Here, I'm just showing what's actually a remainder in here. Yes, I could have come in here, create a new proposal, concept one, but it won't be as accurate if you do this, just to let you know what I'm about to do. Some people will do this just to save time. They don't want to bring it in group. So I could come in here, delete all these trees. I could leave them actually. If I go to create environment, row of trees, and I'm going to pick the area. I'm trying to match the kind of outer limits of this tree. Okay. Oh, sorry. I picked the wrong one. Stand trees. Sorry about that. The other one. That's the row trees. Thinking too far ahead here. I wanted the other one, stand of trees. All right. Surprised nobody caught me. Let's pick the tree. What tree do we want to use? I'll just use this one for now. All right, there we go. Okay. And I did a blog a long time ago about how, best tips and tricks how to do this. Okay, and then I can condense, if I click it twice, condense the density of the trees with a slide bar. There we go. You can see it's changing. And I can change the style while I got the stack up and use a different tree. And it's usually not this slow, just to let you know, InfraWorks is because I'm running through Zoom and through a virtual computer. There we go. And then use that density bar to change them. So any questions, I'll just bring it in landscape features before I move on to the next topic. Any questions online about InfraWorks? I am using the latest version, 2024, just to let you know. Okay. All right. Oh, I hope we didn't get stuck here. Just a second. Looked like the virtual machine may have just froze up on me. Let me pause sharing. Let me see here. Oop. Yeah, my virtual machine locked up. Let me boot it back up here a second. So you're probably wondering how long, if you've never used it, what is the learning curve with InfraWorks? I would say 3 months, and you can actually pretty much almost become a very power user in InfraWorks. It's that user friendly. It's really easy to learn. It's very user friendly to use. It's not like Revit and Civil 3D and 3ds Max, which is one of those huge products and stuff. I build probably models within probably a 3D model of a project, probably within a few hours for a client. They'll put it together and put a 3D model together. As long as they give me a CAD file, some surfaces, I can put it together really, really quickly. So, and sometimes if I can't, let's say they don't have the Revit models of the homes, I will go into 3D warehouse owned by Trimble and go download or purchase 3D models of a custom home or a building so I can use them as a model. I would go download more landscaping features, city furniture, that's benches, light poles that I need for my model. I go to 3D warehouse. Sometimes you can go to, was it Turbo Squid? You can go there to get 3D models of those. You probably have to purchase, or you can go to Fiverr if you want more detail. Go to, was it Fiverr, and get one of those custom 3D models, designers that go build you one, and you can purchase that 3D model. So I'm letting my virtual computer reboot here. It froze up. Any questions so far on the InfraWorks? I know this is just a simple tip to bring in landscaping, but typically I find that landscaping is the one that takes me the longest, is to get it detailed, looking great with bushes, flowers, trees, around your property, because it doesn't look good without landscaping, getting the right color of the tint for the grass. So, and then, if Todd was here, he would show you how to bring some of that stuff from there to like 3DX Max, and then 3DX Max to like Twin Motion or Lumion, mostly Twin Motion, to make it look realistic. So, all right. Any questions from the group online? What is probably the one thing I use the most for InfraWorks is bringing GIS data. I never have to wait for that survey to get completed. If I need to do a quick drainage analysis, I can go and go to InfraWorks, find my property, find the area, and download that GIS terrain data, existing terrain data, and bring it right into Civil 3D and start doing some preliminary drainage analysis for my site until I get the survey. So I use that probably every other week, bringing some GIS data for some concept plans I'm creating for my clients. So, yep, definitely use that. Sometimes I'm doing culvert analysis. So that's another thing you can do is culvert analysis. You have your road, draw in a pipe, and it will do your culvert analysis for you. It'll create a watershed, and you can type in your rainfall intensities, and it will size that culvert for you automatically. And then you can push it back into Civil 3D. That's another thing I do is do some culvert analysis. I thought I had it installed on my computer, but actually it's on my work computer. I'm running off my laptop, and I just don't have enough space because the new version of Civil 3D needs 15 gigs to install InfraWorks. 15 gigs, almost twice as big as Civil 3D. I think Civil 3D, well, Civil 3D is about 9 gigs, 9 gigs to install. After at 1:30, we'll have Autodesk step in, do InfraWorks Forma. And then after that, we'll have at 1:30, 2 o'clock, two Revit sessions. And then we'll have 3 Civil 3D back sessions. And we're back to Revit, and then AC Cloud, and then back to Civil 3D. And at the end, if I have time at 6 o'clock, that's going to be 4 o'clock East Coast, but 6 o'clock here to do vehicle tracking. So for those online, where y'all, because I know we've been having people come and go throughout the day. So where are y'all logging in from? For those online, if you want to put in the chat where you're from. I'm in Dallas. For the rest of you, I guess 20 people online, where you're logging in from. Canada. Okay, awesome. We had somebody from Turkey earlier this morning. I know some people are on lunch right now. Richmond, Virginia. Bailey, Vince. All right, I think I got my virtual computer back up slowly. Oh, of course, the virtual computer is doing a Windows update. Wow. I mean, I don't know why they would do that during the day. Billy, yep. Who else? Where are y'all from? Everybody else. It's almost done. It's at 92% update on this virtual computer, so I get InfraWorks back up and running. So, Vince, I think you use InfraWorks, don't you? Vincent, sorry, Vincent. And I don't want to push ahead because I want to give time for our next 5 speakers. So, yeah, they could be at lunch at this time. So, but let me go ahead and stop recording because I don't need to get all